All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are calling from. I see we have a lot of students from around the world joining us today: Egypt, China, India, a lot of computer science, engineering. Let's see, Bangladesh. Wonderful. So excited to have you all with us today. And with that said, we're going to go ahead and get started. We have a wonderful presentation for you today on cooperative education, which you have all been admitted to a major that includes a co-op participation requirement. So first of all, congratulations on your acceptance to the University of Cincinnati. That is a wonderful accomplishment in itself, trying to go through the application process through a university within another country itself. So you should be very proud of how far you've come so far. And I'm going to go ahead and go over the agenda real quick today as well. So we're going to go ahead and start with some brief introductions. My name is Hannah Gurman. I am an associate director here at the University of Cincinnati in the International Admissions Office. So I may have talked with some of you before as you've been working through your application process. I'm also very excited to welcome several guest speakers. So I'm going to ask, first of all, some of my guest speakers to introduce themselves. So I'll ask Richard to introduce himself first.
Hello there, my name is Rich Robles, and I am a professor of cooperative education in the College of Cooperative Education and Professional Studies. And I oversee the co-op program for architectural engineering and civil engineering.
Wonderful, thank you so much. And I will now like to pass this along to my next guest speaker to introduce himself. Corbin, if you'd like to introduce yourself as well.
Yeah, hey, sorry, I was having some technical difficulties, so I had to join on my phone. Hey, everybody, I'm Corbin. I am the Assistant Director for Recruitment in the College of Education, Criminal Justice, Human Services, and Information Technology. So we have 4 different schools. The School of IT is going to house our bachelor degree in Information Technology and our Bachelor of Science in Cybersecurity.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Corbin. And next, I am going to pass this introduction on to Hanisha. Hanisha, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, I am Hanisha Dushara. Unlike all others, I am a student. I'm an international student from India, and I'm also a computer science major. I'm currently in my 5th year, and I'm also a student ambassador for International Admissions Office, and I'm happy to be here. Over to you, Hannah.
Thank you so much, Hanisha. Thank you all. Wonderful to all of our guest speakers. And thank you all again for being here today as well. We will be discussing a lot about co-op. So we're going to go over the general information about what co-op is, the benefits, what you'll learn, how you'll find co-op, and what that sample schedule might look like for you. And then we're going to hear from Hanisha Deshara as well about her co-op experiences. And we will be happy to take your specific questions at the end of the presentation. And if you do have any questions on, we're not going to go over next steps today. So we're not really going to go over housing, I-20 costs or anything, but I'd be happy to put in a link at the end of the presentation for different webinars that we have that do cover some of those other logistical questions. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get started. And I do just want to mention before we jump really into co-op what that is. We are the University of Cincinnati Bearcats, and we have a promise to you that you will graduate with a degree in one hand and a resume and a career plan in the other hand. And one of the ways that we accomplish this is through our experience-based learning and our cooperative education program. So with that said, I'm going to pass it on to Richard to discuss what is cooperative education.
Yeah, thank you. And so, cooperative education or co-op for short, is really a unique experience for students whereby their whole entire college career includes not only the classroom components, but also a internship or co-op or a full-time work paid experience. And so, next slide. And so when we think about co-op, it is actually really a concept that was born here at the University of Cincinnati over 100 years ago by Herman Schneider. And it's really that idea where, again, where you're incorporating work experience into your curriculum. So when Herman Schneider started the program back in 1906, he first started it with 27 students, and he met with them every other week. And so for 2 weeks, students would be in class, and then for another 2 weeks, they'd be working in manufacturing in the greater Cincinnati area. And that tradition continued. It has also morphed and has expanded, not only in terms of the number of times a student would work, but also how long a student would be in classes. And so what we see now in the model today, students would alternate between the academic terms between school and work. And that model has continued not only here at the University of Cincinnati, but all around the world and all over, and probably in multiple languages and formats. The first international co-op program started in China back in the 60s, and we've actually continued that today with our international co-op program and our joint co-op institute with our partner institution at Chongqing University in China. And so, I think overall, though, the University of Cincinnati is, one of the largest public co-op institutions in the country. Next slide. And so when we think about co-op, I keep saying that it's the alternating between school and work, and really, it's built into the curriculum. And what I mean by that is, you have a set of courses that you take for a specific academic term, and then you are required to work the next semester. I think one of the things that we strive to do is prepare students for that process. And so students will go through a process of a job search during their first couple of years. And we help them through that process, provide resources, and actually resources that will be incorporated into a class called our Intro to Cooperative Education course, where students actually build the resume, they practice interview skills, they learn how to search for a job, a co-op job, not only in the United States, but also around the country. And so I think the other part to it too is that we require our students to have paid work experiences. And so with that said, one of the key markers of a co-op program is that paid experience. And also the paid experience is also working full-time, a minimum of 35 hours per week. Next slide. I think one of the things that was also unique to this process is that students have a dedicated staff and faculty co-op advisor to help them along the way. And so for our students that are in co-op required programs, students in the College of Education, specifically our School of IT, students in the College of Engineering and Applied Science, students in the College of Design, Architecture, Art, and Planning, have programs that have co-op built into that. And with that said, there are faculty members like myself who work with the students along the way. And I think one of the unique things about that is the faculty co-op advisor has a touch point or communication point with that student for multiple semesters throughout their time at the University of Cincinnati. While students are in co-op, they only pay the co-op fee, which is about $465. There isn't any set tuition for going out on co-op, but students do register for a 0 credit hour class to maintain their student status. And that also has implications in terms of benefits and also their status as it relates to their curricular program requirements. And then, when we think, I mentioned earlier that students are getting paid full time. When we think about students' total salaries over the course of 5 years that they're at the university, all our UC students that are out on co-op have earned up to about or over $50 million during their 5 semesters. And I think that speaks volumes to not only the amount of money that students are earning, but the idea that students are paying for their tuition and leaving the university with minimal debt. And when I think about that, when I think about the students that are out of their institutions, they're accumulating student loans and things of that nature. But usually when students are out on co-op, there is minimal debt incurred by the student while they're at the university or when they leave the institution. With that said, students do earn a monthly salary while they're on co-op, and they will earn anywhere from $12 to $20 an hour during their first semester of co-op. And while students return or are able to go back to their co-op employer, that salary tends to increase based on their time with the employer, or also skills that they've developed along the way. Next slide. When we think about the benefits of co-op, I think there's an opportunity for students to not only gain work experience, but also experience another country altogether. I know that you all are coming to the United States from a different country, but there is an opportunity for students to also explore another country while they're here at the university. And so we have what's called the International Co-op Program. We have students that actually travel to either Japan or Germany. And we actually put students through a language preparation program during the first few months, and then we send them out to a co-op work assignment and at that country. And it's usually during a 5-month period. Overall, though, when it comes to experiences like this, students will not only gain a language, but also earn either a minor in that language or a major, depending on how many credits they build up while on the international experience. And then with that said, they also have experience with a multinational company along the way. Next slide. By having their co-op in the United States, students will graduate with up to 2 years of full-time work experience, which speaks volumes. Anecdotally, and when I meet with students along the way, when I think about how much that is worth in terms of salary dollars, 2 years of full-time work experience through co-op pretty much equates to about $3,000 to $5,000 more than the average graduate in a specific major. And I say that specifically within engineering. I think within design fields, it varies depending on the skills that students develop and also the location that students earn a job in the United States. With that said, students have an opportunity not only to gain work experience, but also gain ownership with their major and also their discipline. And the idea of, taking ownership in their own projects, leading projects, engaging with clients, building skills, building their networks, and along the way, build their confidence that they've chosen the right career path. At the end of the day, the full-time work experience builds the resume and the portfolio to include something more than just their degree or what they're involved in. It actually shows that students have actually test drove their major and their academic program and have realistic work expectations of what they want to do and earn and how much they want to earn after graduation. Next slide. So here's a short list of companies that the University of Cincinnati works with when it comes to co-op. And this is for all majors, all disciplines. I think one of the key things to note here is that while these companies are highly popular and recognizable, keep in mind that we also have a second tier of companies where they are either providers or clients to these companies that are listed on the screen. And if you go to the next slide, there's a host of other companies to consider as well. I think one of the things to think about also is when it comes to, say, for example, manufacturing. The greater Cincinnati area is in a major corridor within the United States for automobile construction, north and south. And then east and west, the University of Cincinnati is in a pivotal location, and a crucial location as it relates to the movement of goods and materials across the United States. And so when we think about the idea of manufacturing, logistics, Cincinnati is at the forefront of most of these industries. At the same time, also, again, when you look at the logos that are on the screen here, many of them have suppliers and clients whom they work with, and our students work with those suppliers and clients as well. Next slide. So one of the main questions that I get all the time is, how do you fit in the co-op into the academic schedule? When we think about students at the traditional four-year institution here in the United States, they actually are required to complete 8 academic semesters of co-op, or I'm sorry, eight academic semesters of their curriculum. And when we think about how you incorporate co-op into that, it's, like I said, every other semester. So in the first row, you'll see a general schedule of when students are in school and on co-op, in between. And again, it equates to about 2 years of work experience. When we think about the 8 academic semesters, again, it is equivalent to a student at a traditional US-based four-year institution. If you are in the College of Design, Architecture, Art, and Planning, which is the middle row, you'll notice it's a similar schedule, okay? The only difference here is that in the graduation year, students are still completing their final co-op term. And then in the School of IT, again, it actually varies, and the model varies based on how much work experience that the student has, and also when the student is actually in school, or when they start school. When we talk about the Bearcat Promise, as mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, one of the things that we promise you is that you will have work experience. But at the same time, also, we will graduate you within a time frame that allows you to get the work experience that is proper to your degree. Okay. Next slide. And so one of the things that's critical to international students and the idea of going out on co-op is CPT. I think one of the things that we will go in greater depth when you come to UC and go through the orientation process is actually walking through the CPT process. Right now, it may seem unusual. It also may seem kind of vague in terms of what the CPT process is all about. I think that when you're in country and we actually walk you through the steps, it'll sort of come together, and it will be more relevant when the time comes. But before international students go out on co-op, one of the things that they have to do is complete paperwork related to CPT. This is information and paperwork that is required by the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of State. And one of the things that we have to do is ensure that the work experience is in alignment with your degree. And so we could go into more detail about that when you come countryside. Next slide. Finally, here's the list of programs that actually have a co-op requirement embedded into the academic program. What you see here, specifically in the College of Engineering, is all the majors in the College of Engineering and Applied Science for undergraduates. I think one of the new things that we have to this list is Industrial Systems Engineering, which is a relatively new program that started this year. Cybersecurity engineering also started this year, and we are building out the employer base and lining up students for co-op within the next couple of years. And then within the College of Design, Architecture, Art, and Planning, you see here the list of majors on the right side of the screen. I think one of the new things that's included within fine arts is games and animation. And they too are building the employer base and lining up the co-op opportunities for those students. And then finally, within the College of Education, Criminal Justice, and Human Services, specifically in our School of IT, Information Technology, and Cybersecurity. So these are the majors that have co-op embedded into their curriculum. I think one of the things that's also going to be new to this list will be Lindner College of Business and their majors, and they are ramping up efforts to embed co-op into their curriculum, and that is in the future. So next slide.
Great, thank you so much, Richard. And we are going to pass this on to Hanisha, and she is going to tell us about some of her experiences that she has had with some of her co-ops here at UC. So Hanisha, I'm going to pass it on to you.
Yeah, thanks, Hannah. So as I mentioned before, I am a computer science major, like most of you who are present here. So as part of the co-op program, which is embedded into like the curriculum, I got a chance to work as a paid intern, which is like the co-op in 3 different companies as a software developer intern. And I worked at Emerson in Cleveland, which is like 4 hours from here, from like the university. And then like which is an MNC, which is mainly in like manufacturing, but I worked for like their technology team. And I was there with them for first 2 semesters. And then I worked with an architectural firm for their tech team as a software developer, like co-op for a semester. And then I worked with a product development team called Prodigy in Loveland, which is also close to University of Cincinnati. And I worked as a software engineering co-op. And from all these experiences, I was able to get an insight into what career opportunities are present to me as a computer science major, which otherwise I wouldn't have known so much, because all I can like do to like find out is obviously like ask people and like look up on the internet. But then these co-op experiences help me like see what options I have and what are there out in the industry that others who were computer science major are doing right now. And I was able to like look closely into the work and also get like hands-on to see and try out what are all things that are there, and to identify what is best for me or what I am like interested in. And here at UC, like co-op advisors like Rich, I have a co-op advisor for my computer science major. They like really help us a lot navigating this like co-op process. And I believe that was like really helpful, especially like from the first semester. We are taught professional development class, which like teaches you like everything from like how to build your resume to how to like um, reach out or like apply to jobs on LinkedIn or like other job posters. And also like we are consistently like talking to our co-op advisors to update them about our co-op search, get feedback, and work with them to like find out about what we want to do or like how to apply. And then we also have career fair at the University of Cincinnati, where like more than like 400 employers come every year to talk to students, where you can potentially end up with an interview opportunity and then an internship opportunity. And then UC also has the internal job like searching portal, which is UC PAL, where you rank the interested like job opportunities or like the employers, and then based on your ranking, your resume is sent out to all of them, and then the employers who think you are a good fit for the job description that they're looking for, they'll reach out to you. That's how I found one of my co-ops. And then I think, as I mentioned, the biggest advantage between like altering between like the academic and co-op semesters is that once I go work, I'll understand what are the relevant like technologies that are like out there, or what are the things that I need to learn as a computer science major that I can come back to my study semester and focus on that and improve my skills. And that's like kind of a cycle and like iterative process that that I personally liked, that helped me focus on what skills that I need to build to have a successful career in the field of computer science. Yeah, these are the things that I've learned, and also got benefited by the co-op program at the engineering and at the University of like Cincinnati. Back to you, Hannah.
Wow, thank you so much, Hanisha. And that really just, it helps to understand, because finding a co-op or finding, doing an interview or building your resume on your own can be a lot of work if you've never done that before. And so it's great to hear that, you have all of this support. You have a class that helps you prepare for all of this. You have an advisor who helps you through all of this. You have a co-op job fair to help you find all of those connections that we have here at the University of Cincinnati. So you're not having to do all of this by yourself. And like you said, it's perfect. It's built into your curriculum, alternating between academic semester, between co-op semester. So you take everything that you've learned and apply it back into the classroom, and you get to share that with all of your classmates. So have you heard, Kanisha, have you been able to share, a lot with your classmates as well about their experiences in co-ops throughout the world as well?
Yes. I mean, when I come back to classes, we talk to like each other to like know more about what industries or like what like projects that they worked on, which if like we find it interesting, we like end up actually like going to apply to the other companies like most of the times. And I think co-op program also helps you like build like a network of people, because sorry, did I interrupt someone? Okay, my bad. So as you're asking, Hannah, the students who work at like different companies obviously give an insight to what is going on in that company, and we sort of get to exchange our ideas, and we also like if we are interested, we like tend to apply. And they also like, because you have a strong network, people do end up like giving you a referral that like gives you an edge over like others who don't have like this like network, and also the insight into what like the companies are doing. And then I also like really love the international co-op program as well, because I have like friends who worked in different countries within the field of computer science as a software developer intern. And then I get to hear and know about how is the industry, not just in like the US, but also in like the other like countries, if that's the like question that you've asked, Hannah.
That's perfect. Yeah, that's great to hear. So not only do you have the support of the University of Cincinnati from all these different directions, but you also have the support of your classmates. So like you said, networking is huge. That's how we, find opportunities a lot of times. And so to have that network built not only with what you're doing, but with what all of your classmates are doing as well, it's really wonderful. And to hear those stories, like you said, to hear insights about what would be the best fit for you. So that's just all wonderful to hear. Hanisha, of course, has been incredibly busy. I don't know how she does it within her time here. As mentioned, she's also our international student ambassador, and has been supporting us for quite some time. And so Also, if you are curious to have, more time to talk with a current UC international student, Hanisha, of course, is available to talk to you. And then we have two other student ambassadors. Tamerbek is from Uzbekistan, and he's currently studying international affairs within the College of Arts and Sciences. And Lily is from Vietnam, studying in the College of Business. So you are welcome to schedule a one-on-one call with them. Ask any question like how is your co-op more in more detail? What is life like on campus? How is the food? What is the recreation center like? How is the weather? Because we do have very interesting weather here that I think Hanisha is still getting used to. Yeah, it's cold. It definitely does get cold, but it's beautiful to see the snow in Cincinnati in all four seasons. So I do encourage you, if you want to hear what an international student perspective is like, our incredible ambassadors are really amazing and really willing to help you and talk with you through those, unique questions that you may have. So please do schedule a call with them. And I also want to provide you with some more contact information as well. So as mentioned, I'm going to go ahead and put in the chat box right now 2 different links for you. So I'm going to go ahead and put in the chat box a link for if you want to schedule a one-on-one call with an ambassador, or if you want to register for an admitted student next steps event. This is where we're going to talk about more of those logistics with related to finding housing on campus, which you are required to do as a first-year student, getting your I-20 and getting your visa documents and all of those next steps. So if you want to have more of those questions and those conversations, please do register for one of those next steps events. And the next one is actually on Wednesday, so in 2 days. If you're unable to make one, we do also have a YouTube page, which you are welcome to come check out, and it has a lot of our recorded videos as well. Our office is the Office of International Admissions. You've probably talked with some of us. We help you through your application process, and then some of your next steps as well. However, now that you've been admitted, you are going to start to work with different departments at the University of Cincinnati, and we are here to help guide you in that correct direction. So your application's complete. Now you're also going to be working with our International Services Office, and they are the ones that are going to be accepting all of your financial documents for your I-20. And issuing that I-20 as well. So if you have any questions about what documents are acceptable or where your I-20 is, you can reach out to them directly. We do have orientation that will be happening. If you have already logged into the Bearcat portal, please note that there is one that's happening. There's some happening over the summer. If you are an international student, of course, we don't expect you to make a special trip here over the summer. We will have a welcome week the first week before classes that you are able to participate in person. Please, of course, contact the housing office if you have any specific questions about your housing as well. Again, you do have to live on campus for your first year. It is required. So go ahead and make sure if you're sure you're coming to UC, you've already admitted, confirmed, the next step would be to take care of housing, because you want to get your spot before some of the spots get filled. And lastly, the contact for our enrollment services office, that's more of our bursar, which you don't have to worry about right now, but that information is there for you as well. And with that said, I want to open the floor to any questions that you may have. So let me go ahead and actually see, we have our first question listed here. So I'm going to go ahead and read it out loud for us. How does 5 semesters of co-op add up to 2 years of work experience, and how long is 1 semester? So I'm going to go ahead and pass that back to Richard, and I'm going to go ahead and go back to that co-op.
Right. And so actually, the length of the semesters varies. Generally, the fall and spring are either 15 or 16 weeks. The summer is sometimes our shortest semester, and it goes anywhere from 12 or 14, depending on the year. And so when we think about the 2 years, it's a rough estimate. And when it comes to rounding up, it also depends on how much time a student actually works. And so when actually sometimes students extend their co-op a week or two. In some cases, a student will work 2 3 weeks early depending on again, the time of year. So let me give you an example. So you'll have a student in the going into their second year. They'll start a co-op in the fall, and so while this schedule for an engineering student says that they're in school in the fall semester, they may start co-op in the fall and alternate all the way through. Um, both so in year two they'll be in co-op in the fall, in the summer. Year three they'll be on co-op in that spring. Year four they'll be in co-op fall and summer. And so it really depends again on the time of year. The other part also is when it comes to going in earlier or leaving later in the co-op semester, by rule our co-op semester is recognized by the start and end of the academic semester. And so there's, like I said, 1 or 2 weeks of a buffer in between. And so employers will offer the student an opportunity to either, again, work early or stay later. And again, that's negotiated between the employer and the student. And so that's why I say closer to 2 years, because of the flexibility that employers have with hiring students.
Thanks, Richard. Yeah, I think it's really, like is mentioned, it's really going to vary depending on, your major, what you find. This is really just to kind of help give you that guide, but you'll have support along the way, and it will start in your second year. If any of you are interested in working in your first year, as you can see that year is no co-op and it's fully open as academic, you can work as an international student on an F1 visa for up to 20 hours per week for an on-campus job. But please note that will be supplemental income and very, very small. And gonna see another question here, and I'm gonna open this up to all of our guest speakers if they want to have some perspective on this. How can a student increase his or her chance to get into a co-op program? So Corbin, would you have any advice for a student getting into a co-op program? I'll pass it to you.
Yeah, so as far as, so we're talking about getting a co-op,
Yeah,
right?
any advice to really, stand out with the potential employer?
Sure. So, I meet with the co-op advisors occasionally when they talk about like the process and how students get jobs when it comes to co-op. There is a lot of opportunity for students to really be a part of this process. Like I said, you have a co-op advisor, which is fantastic. A whole resource helping you identify jobs. There are internal processes like a PALS website where students can apply internally to a lot of organizations. But one of the biggest things I think that has been beneficial from what I hear from students is the class that they take their first year of the program, which is in the School of IT, it's called PD 1010, which is a professional development course. And so in the IT major or cybersecurity major, specifically, they'll take this class their first year, and the class is designed to prepare them for applying for these jobs. So like, do you have a resume prepared? What are they looking for when you are applying to these types of jobs? How do you stand out? How do you make yourself marketable? So there is actually a class that you'll take within your first year that increases a lot of the support when it comes to like specifically what does this look like? How are you preparing for this? So I tell a lot of students, like, don't stress about this. You're going to have a lot of resources and support and guidance on the process itself, right? So there's a lot of individuals here to help you through that, to make sure you're equipped, that you feel prepared. And then you get to kind of go out and be a part of that process of applying and looking for those types of jobs after having gone through that, right? So there's a lot of resources in place to ensure that students are ready and that they get co-op positions in areas that interest them, that they want to apply what they've learned in the industries. And so that's a big part of it.
Thanks, Corbin. Actually, a follow-up question. How many on average co-ops would you say a student, like a job, they would apply to at that co-op job fair? Would you recommend them applying to maybe 2 different jobs during that co-op semester, 3, 4? What is a good amount to apply to?
I've heard students applying to 10 plus. And so it kind of varies. Like if there are organizations that are of interest to you, then, I think if you're using some of those processes, it's easy to kind of apply
to multiple ones. I think it's a little bit different than a typical, like you can also go to like Indeed, I think, and apply to jobs there, but through some of the systems, it's easier to apply to multiple organizations. And so if there's several that are of interest to you, you can apply to as many as you're able to do. But yeah, I definitely would apply to more than one for sure. But anything that's piques your interest, that you think this would be of interest to me, I want to apply for this, then apply to any positions that you see available.
That's great. So it's exactly like going to prepare you for finding a real job,
It's
after
the same
graduation.
process. I mean, you're even going through processes that you would outside of college when you go to like Indeed and those kind of organizations. And so it is the same process. It's a great experience when it comes to like when you leave college. If you don't already have a job lined up, then you've kind of gone through the process, right? But our IT and cybersecurity degree, we have a 98% job placement rate after graduation. So and a lot of that is due to co-op within the program and just the demand for the industry itself.
Amazing. Thanks. Hanisha or Richard, is there anything else you want to add on advice on how to increase chances of getting into co-ops?
I think as Corbin was saying, just applying to like multiple organizations, and also like not limiting to like one like job poster, like LinkedIn, Indeed, and everything. And also, for me, what worked effectively was like applying to companies where like my network like works, because you'll have like a higher opportunity that they'll get around you because you have like a connection. So that is really helpful. And then like go to career fairs because you'll understand how to talk to employers, or like what all are available. Like if you're looking in Cincinnati, what are the opportunities that you have? What are the companies you can apply to? Yeah, that is like really helpful.
And then to build on that, I think for engineering and also within DAAP, there is a professional development class as well, for those majors. And then within the College of Engineering, there's actually a mid-curricular course. So in the middle of the student's college career, we will pivot the job search to consider what are the possibilities for that job after graduation. But before all that, I would also recommend several things. One, if you know of anyone that's related to your field back home, talk to them, ask them, how did they get into the position that they got into, right? And I'll say specifically as it relates to the technical fields and like computer science and computer engineering. Find out what kind of certificates or certifications they have, right? And potentially identify experiences that you could obtain sooner than later. So if you have a certification in potentially data analytics or data handling or advanced Python, those courses are available. I think it's experience, right? The other thing I would also recommend doing is think about all the experiences, all the things, all the activities that you were involved in, say, the last 4 years, okay? One of the things that employers are looking for is not only technical skill, but also the ability to work with others. And so I think if you have experiences where you are involved in organizations or activities that show what you've done with your time while in school previously, and also what you've done to work with others or to get involved in activities, that's really helpful. So for example, I was working with a student that was in China, and it was he was in a botany club on their campus. And one of the things I noticed was he was the minister of what was the position? The minister of propaganda. And I was intrigued by the title, but it was an actual title for the organization that he was involved in. And I asked, what does that entail? What does that mean? he was the one that was generating all the flyers of their club activities all around campus at his secondary school. And I mean, I think one of the things to note is that by thinking about all the activities you're involved in, your resume is an opportunity for you to get the interview. So by listing your activities, listing what you've been involved in, this first go around in the initial job search, it provides an opportunity for the employer to get to know you, and also an opportunity for you to share who you are and to share a little bit about what you do and how you've gotten to this point in your career. Okay, so that's the one thing I would offer is one, seek out people in the field that you're going into and find out what their story is and what certifications or skills that they have that you could obtain early on. And then two, start making a list of all your activities that you've been involved in and all the positions and all the accomplishments you've made along the way.
Great. Thank you so much. I'm trying to go through some of our other questions here. How does co-op affect scholarships? That's a great question. So I'll just try to answer that one real quickly. If you've received a merit-based scholarship from the International Admissions Office, so probably the International Outreach Scholarship, that scholarship is valid for your tuition. It is applied only to your tuition, and it is valid for 8 academic semesters. So you will still, again, if you're looking at this chart, you're still completing basically 4 years of academic semesters. So that goes straight to your tuition. And you are not paying full tuition while you are in a co-op semester. So while it is 5 years of school, it is more like 4 years of tuition payments and 1 year of paid work experience. It's just alternating in between. So you will not be paying full tuition during a co-op semester, but you will have a small co-op fee. And of course, you still have to cover your living expenses. So hopefully that helps. But I'll also put in the chat our link to our fall 2022-2023 academic costs per semester, living costs, as well as the health insurance. So that's going to be the cost of your I-20 when you're submitting that to the iBearcats Global Portal. Let's see, why is co-op ranked so high and why is it better than other universities? I'll pass that on to my guest speakers if they want to give a quick mention as to why UC is the best co-op.
Because we started it. I think one of the things that we're seeing across the United States today is institutions are actually recognizing the importance and the benefit of helping students understand what they want to do after graduation. And I think we've presented a model that incorporates not only the academic achievement but also the professional development and leadership. And I think one of the things that we're seeing is that students that leave the University of Cincinnati have greater earning potential. I think the other part also is when students leave the University of Cincinnati, they have realistic work expectations and what they want in a job immediately after graduation. They're able to negotiate their salary. They're able to negotiate and really communicate and express what they want in a job immediately after graduation.
Perfect, thank you. And Hanisha, this question is specifically for you. Hanisha, in your experience, how have you managed to fit in co-op and your studies through your undergraduate experience? That's a great question. So how did you balance all of that? What would you wish you have done differently? And what are some tips to incoming first-year students?
I think planning is like really important. Like I've learned it like the hard way in my like freshman year. Especially as an international student coming to United States, where the curriculum is entirely different from like back home. And on top of that, obviously we are like preparing for co-ops and also trying to like adjust to a different culture and like in a new country can be overwhelming. But planning things ahead, and then making sure you dedicate or like set aside time to what are your priorities is really helped me, and that's the like advice that I would give. And the other advice is, do not hesitate to reach out to people around you, because there is a strong Bearcat community like in the University of Cincinnati, which and everyone around it ready and like very eager to help. And I think just not asking for help, you're just not, there might be like some things that are very easy if you just like ask someone and like someone like explains it to you or like helps you with it. But if you try to figure it out on your own, that can like take you like a while to understand or like to get to where you want to like get to. So yeah, ask for help and make sure you know what are your priorities, and like adjust, like allot that time to your priorities. And that's how you can like have like a rich college experience, not just limiting to like classes and like co-op, but also like student organizations and fun things that you want to do like outside of the classroom, I would say.
Perfect. Thanks, Anisha. I'd say definitely organization is going to be a big part of it when you're coming into first year as a student, and prioritizing is great advice. And if anyone has more questions about what student organizations that, I mean, Anisha, you're involved in so many, but that are available, come join our Next Steps in Admitted webinar. Good question. Is there a requirement to maintain a certain GPA to do co-op? Richard, I'll pass that one to you.
Yeah, and I think to bounce off of the previously answered question that Hanisha responded to, I think the other thing to keep in mind too is while you're on co-op, you're working. And then while you're in school, you're focused on school. And so I think one of the key things about co-op is that you're not taking classes while on co-op. Okay, so that's one thing to keep in mind. When it comes to classes and the GPA requirements, when it comes to the GPA requirement, you have to maintain the GPA that is considered academically eligible within the college. And so, I'll say that, and I sound a little vague, but really, in order to do co-op, you just may have to maintain that you're an eligible student while you're in school. Okay, and what I mean by that is you have to be above the college GPA requirement. And I'll say specifically for the College of Engineering and Applied Science, it's a 2.0, and out of a 4.0 scale. Okay, and so as long as you're maintaining above a 2.0, that you're a student in good standing. There's some caveats to that. I think when it comes to some co-op positions, one of the things that our employers will filter is based on GPA. And so if a student does not have a GPA above a 3.0, they're not eligible for specific jobs. And that differs from major to major. So the idea to maintain a good standing within the college is important, but also to maintain a high GPA does allow you to become eligible for specific job opportunities with employers.
Great, thanks. That's a great clarification as well. Corbin, is it different for IT, for an education, criminal justice, and human services, the minimum GPA?
No, it's the same. Yeah, and Richard made a lot of good points about, well, 2.0 is that minimum requirement to graduate. There's a lot of other repercussions that can happen if you do fall below a 3.0. You know, you obviously become less competitive. They look at those things. So it's important. It also could impact potential scholarships that you might be receiving. So anytime your GPA starts to fall, I would say in college in general, take that as an opportunity to stop, get with your academic advisor, readjust, you know, making sure you have support, ask for help. There's a lot of reasons that GPAs can drop. And so make sure that you're asking for help if you ever feel like it is starting to fall a little bit, so that you can readjust and help yourself be successful.
Yeah, great to know. And yeah, we do have tutoring opportunities, so you don't have to wait until it gets to moment where you're worried about, not meeting a certain GPA requirement for co-ops, for jobs, or as Corbin mentioned as well, for maintaining your scholarships to have a GPA minimum requirement. All right, last question is if co-op for 5 months, or sorry, if you have to do 5 co-ops, how does that affect CPT and OPT? So we can go a lot into the weeds of CPT and OPT, which you don't have to do now. But basically, if you're on it, you have to be on basically a certain visa type. So most students are on F1 visas to do co-op. You are able to do that as an international student. So a lot of students will do 3 co-ops within the United States and use that as their CPT, and then save OPT for after graduation, which is the optional practical training. And if you're in a STEM program, which all engineering should be, IT is STEM as well, I believe, Corbin. Yep. And I'm not sure which ones in DAAP are, but you'll get that additional STEM extension OPT as well. So again, we have a huge network of people to help you through that entire process, which you don't have to do now, but you will be able to utilize CPT and OPT as an international student. How many other alternatives are there to help my out-of-pocket expenses while in college? I think that's a hard question to answer without knowing what your unique situation is, but co-op will help, as mentioned. You can work on campus if you're on a certain visa type, up to 20 hours per week on campus. Co-op is going to give you, significant benefits within your education, within your academic career, within your professional career, but it's also going to pay you financially more than any on-campus job would. So if you find an on-campus job for your first year, again, the same advice, apply before you even come to campus using our career platform called Handshake. You may be able to find some small part-time jobs that are supplemental. So it can help you if you need to, buy some groceries, or if you want to go to the soccer stadium downtown to watch an FC Cincinnati game. It won't cover significant amounts of costs. But if you have really in-depth questions regarding, tuition costs, housing, affordability, how you can, pay for all of each academic semester and year, please schedule a more, unique call with your academic advisor. I'm sorry, not your academic advisor, your admissions advisor. They can help you through this process because that's really hard to answer, just generally. But we will be able to share this slide deck and the recording with all of you. If you want to follow up, share this with any friends who are unable to attend. If you need to go back and reference it, it will be available to you. Unfortunately, I'm gonna probably have to ask everyone to, I'm gonna have to probably end the webinar as we are at a 1 hour right now. If you do have any more questions though, please sign up as mentioned for our Next Step Submitted webinar. Please reach out to me, your admissions advisor, or please reach out to any of the international student ambassadors, and we will be happy to help you. Hopefully we answered a lot of your questions today, and thank you all so much for attending. Thank you to all of our guest speakers. To all of our admitted students, we hope that you will go through all of your next steps very smoothly with regards to confirming your admission, your housing, getting your visa, and then we hope we will see you this fall on campus. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a wonderful rest of your day and evening.
See everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.